You're listening to the very first episode of Banging on the Backstage Door, the brand new podcast devoted to interviewing people in the technical theater world that aren't quite where they want to be yet. People that have graduated college but haven't quite gotten to Broadway designer level yet. So let's get right to it. Hey guys, my name is Dean Wright.
I love how you put on radio announcer
Hey
voice.
guys, look at this. Alright, so my name is Dean Wright. I'm a graduate from West Virginia University, and I'm trying to be a lighting designer.
I like that you added in the trying. Name is Ariana Burrell. I just graduated from USC and attempting to be lighting designer among other things.
So basically, Ariana and I are two people that are midway through our careers, going between having graduated college and actually succeeding in anything we are attempting to do and getting jobs. And so we're in that weird stage of our lives where we're sort of fledgling, trying to do what we're doing, but not actually doing it yet. And so we thought, this is an interesting period in most people that we know's lives. And so it'd be cool just to see how they got to where they are, where they plan on going, and the steps they're taking to get there. Just in general, figuring out what this point of most people's lives are at this point. Because I feel like this is a growing thing amongst our generation, is this lost period of not really doing anything.
And hearing the tech perspective.
Exactly.
I feel like I hear from actors and directors a lot.
Yeah, there's always it's always whenever they have an interview, it's like, well, how did you get to where you were? I just happened to be in a commercial at the right time. It's not, I worked for 5 years and then didn't get anything, and then one guy was like, hey, you want to design this thing?
Right, like that's the part I want to know. Yeah, at work whenever we have lighting designers, I haven't been grilling them, but asking them all of these questions.
So the thing is, I keep meeting... I've met obviously met a lot of lighting designers, and it's some of them are disconcerting in the fact that it's like, well, you've been doing this for 30 years and you're still doing high school stuff, and that's always a little bit scary to me. But then I meet once in a while I meet a guy that's 3 years older than I am doing Broadway, and it's like, well, how'd you do that?
See, I haven't met that person yet who's 3 years older than me doing Broadway. I've met the middle of the road.
Well, it's 6 years older than you.
Okay, most of the gentlemen I've talked to are either in school or half a step above me, or doing university and regional theater. Yeah. But working and making their entire income from being a lighting designer.
That's true.
And not also teaching and having to do other jobs.
So where do you think you are currently in your period of life? And I mean, Ariana just graduated less than 6 months ago. Yeah. I've been out and about for about 3 years now. No, 2 years now, because I was a late graduate.
See, I was an early graduate.
Whoa. Yeah, it's because I transferred, so I had an extra year.
That makes sense.
It was a lot of fun, though.
Yeah, graduated a semester early, which I think helped and hindered the lostness.
Yeah, when you think about what would have benefited you to be there to take another semester of just random theater classes, or was it better to get into the workforce early?
Mine was motivated by, I was tired of the classes, because I still, my last semester I had a few requirements that I knew were not going to help me in life in any way. I had to take a physics class. But it wasn't physics of how to build anything. It was theoretical physics.
As in science physics, not theater physics?
Yes, as in the physics that Leonard Hofstadter does on the Big Bang Theory kind of physics.
Okay.
That are not helpful in any way.
That could be for something. Shut up. You don't know. If you took the class, you'd figure it out.
I mean, I took the class, and the guy had a really, really thick German accent, and I couldn't understand half of what he said, and then he used words I'd never heard before. So I was having those types of classes where I was just I don't want to do this, and I'm tired of writing papers.
That's weird that you could graduate without having to take something like you say it's required like that. But I guess we're not talking about USC graduation standards.
Yeah, so well, if you're a BFA designer, you can get out of some of the requirements. Yeah. And replace them with others. I was just a BA. So graduating early, saved a lot of money. So it was partially financially involved, and I did take an extra semester. I could have graduated in 3 years.
Oh, okay.
And I was like, nope, not ready. I'm going to take 3.5 years, and I'm still finishing early. But it also was weird because I didn't feel like I had anyone to talk to about it, because there were only 2 or 3 of my friends that graduated in December like me, and one of them just went off to New York within a week of graduating. And so the other friend and I were just like, well, what do we do now?
See, I feel like in college, and I don't know if it's everything or if it's just theater, but like I feel like there's two levels of people that are in college and theater. There's like the people that are like good little bees that are like going to classes and totally taking in the college experience, and then the ones that are there that know that they're to progress their careers, and like they're just wanting to get through this so they can get to the next stage. Mm-hmm. Like I definitely feel on the good little bee side. Like I was definitely like, I'm gonna take all the classes, have a blast, and have a lot of fun. I mean, I was doing Nazi stuff when I was there, but I was definitely there more for classes than it was for the long run, I guess.
I didn't think about the long run. I thought as far as graduating and didn't think of the long-term plan as in working 3 hours a day at USC is very different than working an 8-hour shift in lighting.
Yeah. Because like I had friends that were like that were saying things like that what he just taught was bullshit, like it's just totally useless. And I was like, I don't see how that's the point. But now that I'm out there, I kind of see like, yeah, that was kind of pointless, and I don't know why we did that. But for education, it worked, I guess.
It was interesting though. Like I was the good worker bee who just absorbed everything and was just like excited to be there. And tried to avoid the curmudgeons who were just, like, not happy about anything.
That is true. Yeah, like, that's actually one of the most annoying things that I found in the professional world is, like, there's people like us that are, like, excited and jazzed to be doing theater, but then there's people that are just, like, that just treat it like it's any other job, and they hate it. Like, I don't understand I don't know whether they're, like, if you're not, like, theater is such a passionate thing, and I don't see why, if you're not passionate about why you're doing it. There's so many disheartened, like, just road guys who just hate their jobs that are doing it for some reason.
I don't ever want to be that person that doesn't feel that sense of awe when I walk into a theater or on a set. I want to always be excited about it.
I know, like, well, I don't know if it's because I'm still passionate about theater or if it's just the novelty of things. Because like I wonder if like 10 years from now Dean is gonna think, oh shit, that's a red epic, that's so cool. Like think that's gonna still be cool in 10 years. Or it's like, oh, another friggin' commercial shoot. This sucks.
Okay, I feel like you could say that about commercials, but not necessarily about everything else.
That's true.
The commercials I've done, it was because of money that everyone took the job, not because they were passionate about selling cookware.
See, that's actually one of my big things about doing entertainment that isn't like all the recorded entertainment industry. Is just like, I feel like those people more so than theater people are taking it as a job as opposed to something they like, which is weird because like I was on a movie set, and I mean, I have no personal investment in any of the movies, but I still wanted to give it 110% and make sure, like, give it the best product they could, even though I had no stake in it. Mm-hmm. But I felt that was not the case for a lot of people that worked there.
I agree with that. You should be happy with what you're doing. On some of the student films, we had professional actors, professional being they also made money doing acting, who came on set and commented at how passionate and enthusiastic we all were. And my first thought was, why wouldn't you be?
Yeah, like same thing happened to me on my when I was doing art department stuff. Like they were so jazzed about my work ethic, and it was like, this is not even nothing. Like this is me on a normal day. Like it's just real weird. It's a weird thing. That like I don't know. This is a theater podcast, but film people are weird.
They're a different beast.
I feel like everyone in film has convinced everyone else that their job is really, really hard, and it's the only thing that they can do. Because like I got there and was like, really, this is the only thing you want me? Like I can do the sound stuff too. Like I don't have to do just this. I'm not doing anything. I can help you move that boom. It's like
no, that's not allowed.
It's so weird. Like it wasn't even a union job. It was just like, why
Still
can't I help
allowed. You? I feel more boxed in with film, particularly with studio type stuff or anything with studio financing.
Yeah.
Because I don't know. When I did the commercial, I went to go pick up my paycheck. It was all students or recent graduates from USC. And I was like, hey, can I pick it up quickly? Because I have to go to work. And he asked me, what do you do? And I said, I work as an electrician. And he stared at me like I was an alien and realized that I had other skills besides working in art department. And I was like, people do other things. People are complex. They can have other hobbies and jobs, and I don't just do one thing.
Yeah, I think that concept is lost on film people, just the fact that we can be jack of all trades. I think theater's just more of a. I think it's just more of a. I think it's just more of a demanding field. Like you have to be able to do all these things because you're going to be on a job where you're the costume, lighting, and set designer, and you have to do everything.
Yeah, like it's seen as a virtue to be that, but everyone else in film is like whatever you were on set, they assume at least in my experience, that's all you do.
Yeah. It's very limiting. Well, that's why theater's better than film.
As we're on the theater podcast, of course.
When we do our film podcast later, we'll be like, theater fucking sucks. Those guys are weird.
Yes, but film does pay really well.
That is true. Although I've found good virtue in theater. Oh, let's actually just go into that. So how are you doing in your career right now? Like, what is your feeling of your theater career as a recent graduate? How do you are you where you wanted to be, or where you thought you would be at this point? Or are you still like, oh, I thought it'd be better than this?
I've been really surprised. I grew up in the suburbs of LA, and I've always hated it here. And my goal in life was to not stay here. And I attempted to go abroad for all of university. Didn't work, and didn't get in anywhere outside of California for school. Genuinely upset. And so ended up going to USC, and then was planning on moving to Europe, at least for a little bit. And so once I graduated, I was upset that I couldn't just leave as quickly as I wanted to. And I felt like by staying in LA, I was inadvertently choosing film. Just because it was a film town and not a theater town like New York. So I've been pleasantly surprised that 99% of the paying jobs I've been getting have been in theater. Yeah, like since graduating.
Like I came here like a year and a half ago, and I've been surprised at how plentiful theater is out here. I mean, there's a lot of really crappy theater, and like most of it is going to be like really bad 99-seat theaters. Like there are more where I live in North Hollywood. There are more theaters per square mile than there's in New York City. But the thing is, they're all really shitty 99-seat theaters.
Yes.
And that don't pay at all. But like I've been pretty much I've been consistently working on theater, getting living, which is unusual. I didn't expect that.
Yeah, I've been working on theater, so that's been a very nice surprise.
What's been your favorite gig so far? A Red Cat, I guess you can say like favorite venue or favorite particular show you've done.
I really like working at Red Cat because
Red Cat Theater, by the way, people that are listening, the internet people that I'm sure there's thousands listening, is a little theater it's an extension of Cal Arts, the California Institute of Art. I don't know what it's actually called.
Yeah, Cal Arts. It's in Valencia. It's strictly an art school.
It's a big deal. For people that don't know, people that are from there. People that know people that are from there, it's not a big deal. But no, it's so Cal Arts. So Red Cat is the extension of that theater. So it's their off-campus downtown theater. It's under the Disney Concert Hall, but they also have like touring shows that come through, mostly like weird dance things.
It's very avant-garde theater, not traditional, and doesn't appeal to the masses.
Yeah, it's really trippy.
Yeah. So I liked working there, and the head lighting guy there also went to USC. So woohoo! So I felt like it was a nice extension of what I was doing at USC, and came at the perfect time.
It's like a nice soft cushion to the real world.
Yeah, I got to ease into it. I worked in December, like 2 or 3 weeks before my end of the semester, and ended up working for him a couple of days, and then thinking, oh crap, I have to be an adult now. And luckily he called me back at the end of January.
You totally don't have to answer this, but I'm curious because I'm sure other people that our target audience have the same question. Are you totally self-reliant right now, or you still get mommy and daddy money coming in?
Not completely self-reliant, but try to be. Since I graduated early and had very low rent because I lived with my grandfather the last 2 years of school, I took out the full loan amount. Because my parents were like, hey, if you can get the money, take the money, and if we don't need it, we'll give it back. So I've had a little bit of loan money that has been a very nice cushion in the last few months.
That'll destroy you in your later life.
Basically. But I have had a cushion coming out, and I worked all of high school and all of college, and had a little bit of money saved up.
I think I see this before, but not on the podcast, obviously. Have you ever done non-theater work, or is it all theater work? Like, have you ever done retail or anything like that?
I've been really lucky with jobs. I haven't done retail, and I've loved most of my jobs and bosses. Mm-hmm. I worked in real estate as an assistant to a real estate agent from 15 to 19. I worked for her until I graduated, and then the summer after freshman year also worked for her.
Yeah.
And I worked doing data input for a woman who worked in the film industry. Didn't know that's what she did until working there for about 6 months.
Because I was just putting numbers in spreadsheets.
Basically, it was like film codes to like ship the giant film reels from out here in LA to all over the country.
Oh, okay.
So it had like a code and then an airport code. Mm-hmm. And again, why would you know what that is? And finally I asked her because I started recognizing like film names on the back of the invoices, and I was like, hey, what is this for? Just out of curiosity.
So you've been working in the film industry for longer than you thought you were.
Right? Inadvertently worked for the film industry. So those were the 2 jobs I had, and then my job at USC was working as an electrician / house manager of one of the theaters.
Oh, okay.
And did that.
Wait, they paid their students to work on that stuff?
Yes.
That's cool.
USC has 5 theaters, and so one of them they rent out to outside people, as well as students can pay to rent out the theater. So that particular one has a house manager.
You see, at West Virginia we have 2 theaters, basically. One of them is like the Black Box Theater that's not a Black Box, it's a Thrust, the Davis Theater. It's a Thrust space. Really nice. But that's purely just for like the theater kids to do what they want. And sometimes like jazz or music will take it for whatever reason. And then there's the giant opera theater, which is like a 2,000 seat opera house, and it's really nice.
2,000 seats.
2,000 seats. It's 2,200. And it's a giant space, which is kind of detrimental to theater because it's a huge set to fill. But the thing is, like, it's an IATSE house, so our department gets puts like 2 shows in there a year. But then the rest of the time, it's a touring house for musicals that are coming through, or concerts, or comedians. And so like it was cool because like a lot of the theater majors got to work there, so we actually got to get like real IATSE work, and like real. That's
awesome.
Like I left school as an IATSE member, which I promptly did not pay the dues for, because I wasn't there anymore. But not actually, I meant to pay the dues, but no one ever told me. Like no one ever told me like, hey, you owe me dues. Just like, oh, by the way, you're kicked out because you didn't pay dues. Like, wait, what? I would have totally paid dues. So that was kind of bullshit. But it was nice because I got to put a resume that I was an IATSE member.
Oh, that's awesome.
There's a lot of cool things.
Stuff like that, I didn't know. Like, I mean, I vaguely knew, but I feel like I didn't know enough of, or still don't know enough of the business side of theater.
I think, to this day, unions are like, the IATSE is just a mystery. Because every single chapter has its own, like, weird rules and stuff, and how do you get in and what's going on. It's not, like, nothing's standardized.
It should be standardized.
Yeah, and the weird thing is, like, out there, and, like, the other unions I've worked with, like 578 North Central West Virginia, like, you had to work for them, like, for a while as an overhire, and then if they liked you enough, they would vote on you, see if you're worthy to take the test to maybe become a member, and then you had to take a test where you had to, go through, I know all these knots, I know how to hang this light, I know how to focus that, I know how to plug this in, like, all that stuff, and then after that you can become a member, and then if you work more, then you can become, like, a journeyman, and become a master, and you can, like, rise the ranks. But here it's just like, well, they happen to be on this movie that turned union, so now I'm a union member, even though I don't know what I'm doing.
Basically.
It's just really weird.
Or some web series and internet-related things, you can sometimes get in the union that way.
Yeah.
Even if it's non-union.
The big stagehand union here, Local 33, it's like, that's the stuff I was doing in West Virginia, like setting up concerts and staging and putting up truss and stuff. But here it's like, it's once every 6 months, I think, or 4 months. There's like, they have this giant cattle call, and it's like, people get there at 5 a.m. and line up for like around the block to go in and do like a 2-minute interview and give them the resume. And they'll be like, all right, we'll call you. And then they never call anybody. Because they put they put the resumes in like different piles of like, these are the people that know what they're doing, kind of know what they're doing. And so like mine, because I have a degree and like I don't know what I'm doing, you would be the same thing. It's like we'd be in the top pile of like, these are the people we're gonna call first, and never got called ever. Like I did it 3 times and it's like, I'm not gonna do it. It's not worth it anymore.
See, I didn't even try. Well, one, I was like, I'm overwhelmed by life to think about joining the union.
Plus, I don't think they've done a cattle call since you graduated. So
no. No, they haven't, but I was overwhelmed to even look it up in the first few months.
Yeah.
And then I haven't joined the union because that implies that I'm staying here.
That's also true.
And
you're going to get into Local 1, right? Yeah!
Exactly.
Someone's got to die for that to happen.
We don't condone death.
We don't condone murder, we condone death.
Yeah, so the whole union thing, I was like, I'm not joining a union at this point in time. One, I've been getting work.
Yeah.
So it's not hindering my getting work not being in the union. And 2, I was like, this implies that I'm staying here, and I'm not ready to accept that.
There's still hope for you.
Yes, there's still hope that I'm going to run away and never come back.
So what would you be? Would you be New York or Chicago or somewhere else? I heard Atlanta's booming with theater right now. Someone told
Lighting
me that.
designer in London.
Oh, in London. There you go. So you can replace bubbles and stuff.
Exactly. No, I picked London. I love other cities in Europe, but London because they do have a film and booming theater industry.
You can work on Doctor Who.
Right. Or Sherlock. I was thinking Sherlock.
There you go.
Yeah.
Considering there's like 5 actors to do everything, I'm sure there's like 10 tech people to do everything.
Right. I was like, if I could just find an in with one person, such as if I... So I had applied to work at BBC America, and I was like, if they like me, maybe I could transfer to London and work at BBC there. And so I have a list of like 10 different ways I think I'll use to hopefully get there.
I had the same sort of thing where it's like, because like I love the Lord of the Rings movies. Like I would watch the extended Blu-rays the extended DVDs all the time. Like watching all the Backstage featurettes.
So good.
They're so good. Like the one in the miniatures is amazing.
It was just as good, I thought, as the actual film.
I've seen the behind the scenes stuff more than I have the actual movies, and I've seen the movies a lot.
Did you watch the Hobbit ones?
I've not gotten the Hobbit DVD yet because like there's 50 Hobbit DVDs that all have different features on them. So
while he was making the Hobbit, he had the Hobbit.
Oh
blog.
Yeah, the blog. I saw that. Yeah, that was really cool.
Yeah, that one was cool. I dork out over behind the scenes stuff.
Yeah, but yeah, so I really loved the behind the scenes stuff for Lord of the Rings, and I really wanted to be like, it'd be so cool to work at Weta. But I was very much looking to actually like, what would it take to actually go to New Zealand and be in New Zealand? Because like I looked at the Weta internship, they only take New Zealand citizens, like they won't take people overseas at all. Aww. Which is really sad. So I was looking into immigration into New Zealand, like not seriously, like curious about it. And it's like, and it's actually a big thing about you, what you might look into also is like a lot of countries, they won't take people, like they take people only in certain jobs. Like they'll take, if you're like a civil engineer, they'll take you in a heartbeat. But if you're like in the arts, like it's a lot harder to actually do that. Yes,
no, I've come to realize that. You can ask my mother. I called her the other day and was like, hey, do we have any family from the Caribbean? And she, on the phone, was like, you have the strangest questions. Is there a reason for this? And I was like, yes, grandfather law. So apparently if you had like a grandparent who was of European citizenship in the European Union, then you could apply for citizenship.
Oh, man.
And there are a couple of islands in the Caribbean that France owns that are part of the European Union.
Yep.
And there's a couple that Holland also owns, which is why...
There's an island that they both own. There's like a split in the middle of it.
Yeah, and they're both called St. Martin, but spelled differently.
I've been there. It's 1A or 2A's. It's really cool. My mom was obsessed with cruises, so I've gone a lot when I was a kid.
So that was me attempting to figure out how to get there, but it was the wrong island.
Damn.
Right? That's what I said too, and my mom was like, we have a lot of family from South America, and I was like, that doesn't help. Why couldn't we be from elsewhere?
That's hilarious.
Yep. So I've been asking random questions like that, and my mother just shaking her head, thinking, I don't understand. So, do you think you're where you want to be in your career?
I definitely think I'm like, whoa. There's a sentence here somewhere. Last year was rough. It was a rough year. But ever since the beginning of this year, it's been like as soon as December hit, I was getting job after job after job, and it was great. My first year in LA, it was like I did not do very much theater. I did like 1 or 2 movies, like art department stuff that barely paid anything. Like one of them was like 16-hour days at 8 hours an hour, which was rough.
That is rough.
It was a lot of fun. I made a lot of contacts from that. And actually, my sister, who I was working with there, is like working nonstop because of the contacts she made there. But because I've sort of deviated away from doing film, that hasn't really benefited me at all. Like I started working in this theater company actually started off doing props and then became like the ALD. And what happened? The story about that, and actually how I've gotten every job since then. This is a good story for those like, how do you make it sort of things. And it was like my girlfriend, who's a scene painter, applied for. She saw an ad on Backstage Jobs to go paint on the production of Tommy. I think it was Tommy at this theater. She was getting paid like pittance, almost nothing for it. But she was working on the show. And I think at that time I was working at the I was doing art department stuff for Wigsco, which you're aware of. So crazy story really fast. I worked in the single Wigsco that apparently Ariana was like had seen on YouTube, and then she like looked at me and like saw us in the credits and was like, that's crazy. Yeah. I haven't even watched it, but she has. Yeah. But anyway, so she called. So I get a call like at midnight.
Wait, hold on. Wigs, for those of you who don't know, is Lifetime premium YouTube channel basically, where it's all female centric.
Yeah, it's really good. I've heard it's really good. I just haven't
it's
seen it at all.
Great quality for the internet. I mean, it's hit or miss as far as the ones that I've liked. In all fairness, I've not watched all of them. I think I've watched about half.
Yeah, but it's weird because I didn't even know it was any sort of big deal. But then it was like, there's a random person that I know has watched them. That's really cool. So anyway,
I thought it was I find it so much cooler when I'm reading the credits and I like know the intern than reading who the director was.
I had that moment really, to completely get off the story. I had that moment, I was watching Video Game High School, season 2, episode 2, and there's a scene, like a random scene, like that had a guy that had like maybe like 4 lines, and it's like, I know that guy! Like, I actually, like, I physically, like, I personally know that guy! How do I know that guy? And so after the trailer, during the credits, it was like, that one guy that had one line, like, Brendan Murray, who's Brendan Murray? I know that name! And so I went to his IMDb, it was like, he looks really familiar, but I don't know, and then I like went to his website, and went to his resume, and I scrolled down, and it turns out that he went to Florida State University when I was there. And so like we had worked on a couple shows together. It was just really mind-blowing. I sent him a message being like, this is totally out of nowhere, but I went to Florida State with you, and I vaguely remember you when I saw you. Congratulations on working on a thing. He's like, thanks, that made my night. So that was really cool. That
is awesome. That is the coolest part. I'm glad someone else dorks out. It's usually me in my bedroom alone, flipping out that I know someone in the television.
My sister worked at what's the guy that plays Ron Swanson in Parks and Rec? That guy.
Yeah.
Yeah, she worked with him in a movie called Smashed, and like so now like and so she got to like know him pretty well, and ever since then like anything he's in she like flips out over. It's really funny.
It's so cool.
Anyway, so I was working at that apartment at Wigsco, and so this is like the 16-hour days I was talking about, and so I get a call at midnight, and I'm working at like 8 a.m. the next day, and it's an hour drive away. Like I get a call at midnight being like, hey, the programmer for this show for the Tommy thing she's painting is like super duper sick and can't come in, and it's tech week. Can you come in and program the Ion? And I was like, okay, I have to like work. I can't. She's like, no, if they need someone, they can't not do it. And it's like, okay, I'll do it for like $200. They'll give you $300. All right. And so I go over there and I make $75 an hour for the first time in my life for like 3 hours, and I program it. And I sit down. I have no idea what's going on in the show. I don't know anything about the production. So I sit there at an Ion, and someone tells me what to do for 3 hours. And like
that's so cool.
It was really cool. And then I got like 2 hours of sleep, and then had a terrible day the next day. But
so after your excruciatingly long work day, you went and programmed.
Yes, and then I had another excruciatingly
long
work day.
And then took more of a nap.
Yeah.
And then went to work the next day.
Exactly. But because I went and programmed that one day and like saved the show, they knew me as the guy that came in and saved the show, and so I got to work. So I worked on the next show as a props guy, as the props master, and then after that, the resident lighting designer got let go, and then I got brought in as an ALD, and then someone else got brought in as the resident lighting designer. So that was really cool. And I worked every show with them for like a year and a half, but they were my bread and butter for a very long time. So like that was really cool. So that was my big break. And then, but the thing about that is, the designer they brought in, Johnny Ryman, he got me, he was a UCLA grad student? I think just a graduate, like a normal kid that graduated. He's like a couple years older than I am. But he got me, through him, I got every other work I ever worked at. So he got me onto the list at UCLA to work at Royce Hall. And from Royce Hall, I met Tony, and from Tony, I started working at Red Cat. And then also through Johnny, I got to work on, because the guy that was in charge of making the theaters for this new performing arts center, Jeff Wachtel, is the head of UCLA. And so through Johnny and Jeff, I worked at making the Calabasas and Agoura Hills performing arts centers. And through that, I got to become the ATD at these places. And then on top of, and so it's just been cascading of job after job after job from this one random night that I went and worked, that I wrote and programmed a board. And so all of my livelihood has come from that one night that I decided to go and help them out. So that was a really cool experience.
That's really cool.
And so I'm working. So I'm working, and then from Johnny also, I'm working at the Kirk Douglas Theater in Culver City next month. So that's like a big deal. Like they have a show. They have a one-man show right now it's a Val Kilmer one-man show, and they have like crazy budget behind it. So it's gonna be
yay actual budgets.
I know, it came like, so, like, for me, so, like I said, like, so I graduated, then had a year of pretty much deadness, not working a lot, and then...
Did you immediately move here after graduating?
But yeah, well, that's a fun story, too. So, I guess, yeah, so my first year of LA, so I graduated from college, Western University. It's a diamond in the rough. Anyone who's listening is looking to go to college. I cannot recommend them enough. Also, they have a really good scholarship that's full ride for tech people, and it's really easy to get. And
that's awesome.
Yeah, like my sister. It's funny because like my sister went there. My sister went to BU, and as soon as she graduated, I went in the next year, and so I kind of like grandfathered it to me. It was funny because she I don't want to like suck my own dick, but like my sister and I we're really good at what we do, and so when she left, she was one of the few people that got to like design a set there, like one of the few students that got to design a main stage set, and like she painted in like every show, and she was like really good at scene stuff, and my sister and I have like we're really good complement of each other's skills. Like I can do the things she can do the things I can. And so when I went there, everyone was expecting me to be sort of the same skill set as my sister, and then I get there and be the exact opposite, but good in the exact opposite way. And so it was really funny that little dynamic of, oh, this guy doesn't do sets, he does lights. Okay, cool. And then it took like 6 months of confusion of what I am, and then it was like, all right, we're good.
You're a person.
Exactly. And so I had this conundrum of what I wanted to do when I graduated. Do I want to go to New York? Do I want to go to Chicago? Or do I want to go to LA? Because everyone I know was either in New York or Chicago, but I kind of wanted to go to LA for reasons I wasn't quite sure of. Like the idea of doing film lighting was really cool to me, and that's what I kind of wanted to do. But then
it's quite different.
Exactly. So spring break, senior year, my girlfriend and I came out here, and we just we spent a week here just sort of roaming around and seeing and feeling out if we like this place or not. And we really did. So I thought, okay, the weather's great, and we have a couple of friends here. So why not?
One redeeming factor. We're young. I will admit that.
There you go. Like, yeah, if I was in New York, I'd be like, no, I do miss snow though. Have you seen snow before? Are you one of those people that've never seen snow?
I have seen snow, but it was a weird, as in like you went from the beach and it was 90 degrees, and we went up to like Big Bear so I could see the snow, and then drove back home and it was 90 degrees.
Oh, okay. So
kind of snow.
You haven't built a snowman or had a snowball fight yet?
I've built snowman. I've had a snowball fight at the Santa Barbara Zoo. Every year, next to the penguins, they truck in snow and have a quote-unquote snow day, and that's where I, like, played with the snow the most, was the 75 degree
That's so sad.
truck in snow day next to the penguins.
It's like you know in the Grove, they have snow at the Grove? It's just like, it's bubbles. It's like so bubbles that they're shooting at you.
But it was real snow. It wasn't bubbles. But, like, everyone, including the children, were in like shorts and a t-shirt because it was 75 degrees out in winter.
I have a short sidebar before I go on with my story. And so I went to Florida State University for 2 years before I transferred to West Virginia. And Florida State's in the Panhandle. It's in Tallahassee, which is like, and so we have like people from like Miami and like way South Florida that are like super hot. Whereas Tallahassee is more normal weather. And so we have people from Miami that have literally never seen snow before in their entire lives, including my girlfriend at the time, Cindy. And so one day it flurried, like barely any snow, like melting as soon as it hit the ground, didn't accumulate whatsoever. And people were flipping their shit, like, oh my god, we're gonna build snowmen, we're gonna have like make snow angels. And it was amazing to watch all these people I'd never seen before, like, just see flurries and getting so excited about it. Because, like, I survived the blizzard of 93. There was, like, 3 feet of snow outside my door. It was a lot of fun. It was a really weird thing to see that glow on people's faces.
Yeah, that's how we get on the rare occasion when there's, like, hail. Where, like, you wake up in the morning and it's still a bit cold out and, like the grass can freeze. And it's the coolest thing to see, though, because you don't see that here. Mm-hmm. It rains here and you stay home. That's what happens.
I worked in Kansas for a summer and we had hail that was like, pew! And it was like, this is like scary snow that'll murder me.
Yes, no, we usually don't have murder size. It's like, I don't know, more like crushed ice, like Slurpee consistency kind of hail, not you're gonna die hail.
That was so crazy. It was a good summer. It was I hated that summer. Kansas City, Theater in the Park, don't do it. For anyone who's considering that. It was like good people, terrible space. It's outdoors, it's 80 or 90, and there's raccoons. I had tangent again is my first day at Theater in the Park. There's like 2 towers on it. It's a 4,000 seat outdoor space, and there's like 2 towers on either side of that make like the proscenium walls. One side is like have sound storage, the other one is lighting storage. And so I go to the lighting storage, and there's poop and pee everywhere, and it's all raccoon poop and pee because like they during the winter they roost there, and so I climb the ladder of the tower, get to the top floor where all the Sakopex is being stored, and I go in there and there's a raccoon in the actual in the room. I was like, I don't know how to deal with this, and so it runs out. There's a door that goes to the catwalks that go so cable can run across. It runs out this cat door to go out onto the catwalk. And so I chased it out. I opened the door, I chased it outside, and there's a sound person on the other end of the catwalk that's doing sound stuff. And so this raccoon is stuck between me and this other guy, and it's on the catwalk 20 feet in the air. And what it decides to do is it jumps from the catwalk down into the orchestra pit, a concrete orchestra pit 30 feet down.
And it survived?
It landed and then was stuck and sort of twitching for 30 seconds. We're like, oh my god, we just watched a raccoon commit suicide. And then it got up and then ran away.
That's a great story.
It's a great story. That was the other thing is, because it was an outdoor theater, we'd be programming till 4 a.m. so we had to wait for the sun to go down. So one day at 3 a.m. someone had brought pizza and they left it on the proscenium, on the proscenium, just on the, what's the word I'm looking for? It's the little
thrust?
Kind of, it's like a hole in the middle and there's a sort of runway across. One of those things. So there's a runway that goes down that goes at the front of the stage, and we left a box of pizza there, and so we're at the booth programming, and we see a group of raccoons come up to the pizza box and try to figure out how to open it and then steal pizza and run away. So that was a fun summer. But anyway, what was I talking about?
So LA.
Oh yeah,
from West Virginia, you were considering where to move.
So I wanted to do film lighting. So I came out here and I started doing some film lighting for not.
Did you do any film in school?
I did one independent movie, and I did one actual independent movie, and it was as a lighting person. But it was in DC, and it was an hour drive away, and it was not paying me at all, and so it ended up not being really worth it because I didn't have a car at the time, so I had to be driving back and forth with my mom, and it was this is not a good thing. So I didn't enjoy that at all, and what I discovered there was mostly for lighting and film, it consists of unpacking a truck, not using anything, and then packing the truck back up, and that was pretty much our daily routine.
And then blocking the sun.
Exactly. So I came out here hoping it'd be better than that experience, and it turns out it's not. It's pretty much just you unload a truck, you use maybe 5 things, and you put the truck back in. Or if you're in a studio space, you're setting up lights to make it look like a room, like you were talking about a couple days ago. Or it's. I was struck. The thing here to refer back to what we were talking about earlier. What I discovered about film, and this is how I describe it to all my theater friends, is that theater people are theater people, and film people are people that do film. It's not something they're passionate about, it's just a thing they're doing, it's just their career choice, for the most part. There's a couple people that are really jazzed about it, but most people it's just a job, and they don't care about it.
Yeah, so, I haven't talked to any film people who define themselves as a film person.
Yeah.
They have other words front of people, whereas theater people... jump up and down with blue hair and say, I'm a theater person. Yeah, exactly. It's just the passion's not there for most people. There are people that love what they do in film, and those people, if I could have a crew of just those people, I would work film all day long. Yeah. But the thing is, it's just there's no creativity in it. It's just you're just blocking out the sun and making it so the shot works. It's funny because even as an electrician in theater, I feel like there's some creativity because there's a lot of problem solving involved in just in making it work. Whereas even just being the lowest gaffer or whatever in film, it's so mindless. It's just all neck down work the entire time. Sometimes you don't even touch a light. Yeah. I've been gaffer, best boy. I can't remember. I always mix them up, but the one who handles the cable and that's it. Yeah. I did that one day and I was I want to touch a light. That's the entire point that I wanted to work in this department. Yeah. It's just, so I just found that film wasn't enjoyable, and so I started doing art department stuff because that's much more like doing sets. That's the same skill set. I'm painting and I'm cutting wood and making flats. It's exactly what I do in theater. It's just for a different application with different people. And so I started doing that for a while, and that was that. And then I said that I'm going to make my goal to work for Disney because I love Disney and I think working at Disneyland would be the coolest thing ever. And so I have a Disney cup right now. And so actually one day I went to Disneyland and this is back when Electronica was happening. For those of you who don't know, Electronica is basically a big a Tron themed rave that happens in Disney California Adventure. And so I went to the tech booth and sort of peeking over to see what kind of board they were running. First of all, they had an EOS for this, which was the exact wrong board to do a rave party with. And so but then the board op noticed me looking, and so she came down from there because the board was just doing its thing.
And she came down. We talked for like an hour about like being a tech at Disney. And she was like, "Yeah, I'm the board op for this, but like I help program World of Color, and like which is a big light and sound, like a big light and fountain show." And she's like, "Yeah, like if you're a tech person, you do everything here. Like if you do audio, you do sound, you do everything." And it sounds like exactly what I want to do. Like I don't want to be stuck doing this, like because when I do lights for a while, I miss doing set. When I do set for a while, I miss doing lights. And so like I feel like that'd be perfect. I'm doing everything all the time, and it's pretty good job security, and to be working in Disneyland, which I would love. Even like because I love dealing with people, and it's like even so everyone at Disney has to deal with people all the time. Like it's just like it sounds like it'd be the funnest thing ever. And so from her, I got the email of the guy that's in charge of hiring of the manager of the theater of the entertainment staff. And I email him like every month, like, "Hey, my name's Dean. This is what I've been doing." Like, for the first like 6 months, no response at all. So it was like it sort of became like a Dear Diary. Here's what I did this month. So
did he ever email you?
He did eventually. Actually, I tracked him down. He emailed me back like once, and it was I forget. It was a while. I guess this point it was like a year ago. And so I was like, I mentioned that I was going to go to USAT. He was like, "Hey, I'll be at USAT too. Let's meet and talk." I was like, "Oh my god!" And so I met him at USAT, and they weren't hiring at that time, but it was nice to actually have given him a face to this email.
To the person who keeps sending him diary entries.
Exactly. It'd be every month like, "This is what I did this month. I'm looking forward to being part of the Disney." Like it's super positive because it's Disney. Like I can't wait to be part of the Disney team.
Seems to be a theater person thing, or at least at USC, everyone loves and is obsessed with Disney.
Yeah.
Like, I thought I was a fan, and so did my parents. And my parents met my roommate from freshman and sophomore year, and they looked at me, and they were like, "Wow, you seem really normal compared to that."
Yeah, even
our entire apartment was a shrine to Disney, which I didn't mind, but it was Disney. Like,
yeah.
You knew exactly what we liked.
Yeah, West Virginia, same thing. We had a bunch of like Disney people. Like, well, I think one of them is actually a princess right now in Disney World. Katarina, and then
that looks like the most fun job.
It does.
To be like you walk around, you smile at children, like it seems so happy and magical.
Yeah, we had one that did the Disney College program. We had one that that's a princess right now, and one that worked in Jungle Cruise. I don't know if she's still doing Disney. I think she's in New York now, but she was a Disney set person. So which is weird because I expected in LA kind of because you have Disneyland, but like West Virginia, they were not near any Disneys. I don't know. But it still managed to the magic is far spreading, and so I've been emailing this guy every month, and I for the past 2 hiring rounds I've just completely missed. Like even like I just didn't have my ear to the ground, and I totally missed the application period at all. Like they keep happening when I'm like in the middle of a tech that goes into another tech that goes into another tech. It's always like when I'm super busy is when there wasn't the
always when it rains things. It pours.
It's all
and the opposite is it's always dry and there's nothing.
Like we were talking about this the other day, is like for this past week, Ariana have I been doing this Now Fest, Neutral Works Festival at Red Cat, and we've been working there like every day for many hours. Yeah. And I was telling her like as soon as I booked the Now Fest, I got like 3 other offers for the exact same time, and she's like the same thing happens to you all the time, right?
Yeah. The most recent one, I had applied to work at the Performing Arts Center in Thousand Oaks, mind you. I graduated middle of December. Applied for that job right before Christmas. That one and one in Agora and 2 or 3 other places. 15-page application with a short answer question, which I think is a little bit excessive, and heard nothing. They called me a week before I was supposed to walk in the graduation ceremony because USC only does the ceremony once a year. And I was like, I don't remember what I said in the application or what resume I had. Because I have multiple resumes, one for film, one for theater. And I was like, great, I'll come in for an interview. So the day before I'm supposed to walk in graduation, I run home from LA and have the interview and then quickly run back because I have graduation rehearsal. And then don't hear from them again for another 2 months. And then about 2 weeks ago, they were like, hey, we want to hire you. Come in for a physical. To make sure I, could lift things and wasn't going to sue them and I wasn't hurt or anything. And I officially got the job about a week ago. And I was like, that whole span of time was 8.5 months between when I applied and when I actually got the job. And I was like, you hire me now that I have an entire week of work at Red Cat and a couple of other small stipend paying jobs. Where were you 8 months ago when I needed you?
Yes, like same thing. Like for my main job to do with the ATD at Agora Hills / Calabasas, it's technically a high school, even though it's like so during the school year they do like school shows and there's occasionally like a lecture that comes through, but then during the summer it's been like touring shows with like dances or like just random musicals. But because it's high school, even though I'm not really working in high schools at all, like, I don't teach a class or anything. I had to like go take a TB test and like I had to get like my fingerprints taken because I'm working with children. So
yeah,
like weird things like that.
I had to get my fingerprints because it was a government job.
Yeah, the funny thing is I was talking to my boss about it about because the fact that it's a high school, we're wondering if that's going to be like a faux pas on a resume, like the fact that we worked at a high school for a period of time. But we feel because also the Performing Arts Center that we can sort of explain it away. Because like as long as they ask us about it, then we can explain it and be like, this is what it actually was, and here's why it's a legit thing.
I feel like having work on your resume is better than a blank spot.
That's true.
Even if it is at a high school.
I haven't because I keep getting work through like word of mouth. I haven't updated my resume in so long, and it's really bad. Well, I also think my website doesn't work right now. I think if you go there, it's just like, this website's expired. So I need to call GoDaddy.
I did that in January. Updated my website because it had been about a year and a half.
We should do an episode that's just like, here's how you market yourself or something.
I haven't figured that one out, just for being honest. All of my jobs, except for the recent Performing Arts Center one, I got by accident through word of mouth / falling from the sky.
Yeah.
That's been the description I've been getting when people have asked me how I got the job. And they look at me like I'm being sarcastic, and I'm really not.
You know what actually really bothers me? There's a totally jealousy thing. So there's a guy named David Crawford who's a very talented sound designer who was a UCLA grad who's the exact same age as me. And he gets most of his stuff is word of mouth also. But his word of mouth things are like getting flown out across the country to do sound design for a Tyler Perry show. And I'm like, how do you have that word of mouth? I want that word of mouth. Like he gets flown out across the country to do sound design, and it's all word of mouth things. It's like, how did you manage to get someone that has that power to become your friend and want to hire you? Like that.
And
like
I want a friend like that.
But here's the thing about that. It's like the problem is like we can't. It's such a dangerous path to compare ourselves to people that are our same age. Like it's such a bad idea to do that. And like I keep finding myself doing it. Like there's a guy that's 1 year younger than I am, and like we're really good friends. And he's also a lighting guy. And so it's like when I find a job that's something I'm gonna apply for, it's like, should I tell him about this or not? Like I don't know if I want to tell him about this. Like because there's competition. And so it's a conundrum every time.
I've been trying to be on the optimistic side of the spectrum of being like there are enough jobs for everyone.
I want to come really fast. I have been telling him. I just want to throw that out there. I've been telling him. I haven't been a jerk yet.
See, that's good. See, I've been going with the optimistic side that everyone, at least around here, that there are enough jobs because I realized. So one of the guys who I worked with at USC, who was 2 years older than me. So when you're in school, you always have like the class system where like people are older and you assume they know more.
Yeah.
And assume they're like one step above you. And now that I've actually been working in the field, I've run into some of them and had the grand epiphany that they're at the same level as me.
Yeah.
Even though I feel like they have many more skills than I do in what they're doing.
It's really weird and oddly satisfying when you run into someone that's like older than you are, that's been doing it longer, that you're better than. Like it's so satisfying.
I haven't felt like I was better than them, but I know that we've been applying for the same jobs.
Oh, okay.
And I've been hoping that if I should have it, I will, and that there are enough jobs for everyone to have them, because there aren't nearly as many tech people as there are actors. Mm. And since we live in an actor's town, I'm always like, I have a better chance than them of getting a job. Mind you, I love actors. A lot of my friends are very good actors. But just the sheer numbers of actors as opposed to tech people always makes me feel better.
Yeah. All right, so we're actually getting close to an hour, so I feel like maybe we should start wrapping it up a little bit. So I have a question of, so we talked about like, so what is your ultimate goal? I know that we both want to be like lighting designers, but is there a means to your end? Or is there an end to your means? Like, is there, like, do you want to do Broadway, or do you want to be like, or is there a more noble thing? It's like, I want to be the guy that hires people to do, like, hires my friends to do things. Like, what is your ultimate goal? What is your purpose in theater?
Boy, heavy hitting question.
I know, right?
I would
someone asked me that when I graduated. I was like, I don't know. So I've had 3 years to think about it, but you just graduated, so it might be the same thing for you.
I would love to do lights for a musical on Broadway. Got into theater wanting to do musicals, and I haven't really done any. But the overarching goal I've come up with is I'd like to be able to support myself as an artist. Whatever that means. Be it I write an amazing screenplay, or I'm a lighting designer, or I started off in the fine arts and doing painting. Be it maybe painting, or whatever it may be.
Oh, those are your photos?
Yes.
Okay, cool. I was looking at them. They're like, I like them.
Yeah. We're sitting in my house, and so now he suddenly started looking around to see where the paintings
are. These are yours?
Or photography, or be it in film or theater. I'd like to be able to support myself as an artist, even if it's in different areas of the arts.
Mm-hmm. You just want to be creative. You want to be creatively enabled.
Yes, and support myself being creatively enabled, but I don't feel the need to stick to one industry.
I think when we have t-shirts, creatively enabled would be our little slogan we put on, because we're going to be that wild successful on our podcast.
So what is yours?
I was very lost when I first graduated, like not really knowing what I wanted to do. And I think like the more I get into it, like the more altruistic I found myself wanting to be. And it's like I don't care what I'm doing in theater. First of all, I just want to do theater in some capacity. But what I want to do, what my goal is, I would love to be able to pay it forward. Like my goal would be to be successful enough to go back to college and lecture and like give a lecture about here's how I did it and here's how you can do it too. And I'd love to be able to. I want to be able to hire like people. Like I want to have hiring power to like. There's this guy who is like trying really hard to make it, but just isn't getting a break. I want to be the guy that gives people breaks. That's what I want to be. Like that's my goal, is to be the guy that gives someone the ability to be creatively enabled.
That's a nice goal.
I know, this totally side story. This kills me. My grandmother had basically a mansion in Brooklyn, and my goal for the longest time was when I graduate, I'm gonna make that into like a recent art graduate like hovel. So like you're like, hey Dean, I just graduated from West Virginia and I want to be in New York, but I can't afford rent. Come on over and we'll give you shit rent for like a couple months to your other feet, and then you go off on your way. Like that was my goal, but then we sold the house and made me really sad.
You know what? I've been trying to do that. One, I really like, whenever possible, to pay people, because I don't like how internships are set up, in that I feel like a lot of companies see it as free labor, as opposed to a learning experience. And so I want to pay people, even if it's just $50, because I think your skills should be valued. And the reason you're doing this is to also support yourself, and I think you should have that ability.
I'm guilty. I pay people in beer very often.
Yes, but you're attempting
to
do
something at least.
And you're trying to pay them something, or try and give them a little money towards gas getting there, if it's really far, or providing lunch, or even if it's a small thing. But in the altruistic thing, I live in my grandfather's house and have a somewhat empty second bedroom, so I've deemed it the room for weary travelers. So one of my friends had graduated and was staying up. He was from like Riverside and far away. Like it was too far to take public transit back and forth because he didn't have a car. So he stayed in the second bedroom for like 2 or 3 weeks, and he was like, "Hey, I'll pay you," and I was like, "No, you have no money. And the second bedroom is empty." And so I've had a few friends who have come and stayed for like 2 or 3 weeks, and I was like, I want to pay it forward.
That's cool.
And let people, try and figure it out. Because I still am trying to figure it out, but I'd like to help people if possible.
I think it's actually one of the. Here's a good note to end on. I think our industry is interesting in that it's a very carrot on a stick. There's always one more tier up you can go to, because like there are people that are making millions of dollars being lighting designers. Like they're exceeding any financial things they could possibly ever want in doing what we do. And so it's like maybe someday we'll get to that point. It's just trying and seeing if we ever get there.
Hopefully. Oh, and as a side note, I have made the most money from working in theater, not from working in film. Just as a fascinating side note. And like the per hour wage is almost double when I've been working in theater, surprisingly, as when I was working in film. And most of the time when I've worked in film, it's been either a stipend or at minimum wage.
We'll do an episode of like advice for people that are just starting out. It'll be a good time.
Yeah.
So that was our podcast, first episode. So if you didn't catch what we're about, basically it's going to be we're interviewing people that are in our stages of life, where it's like just graduated, not quite where you want to be, seeing what they're doing, what they're about, and what they plan on doing, and all that fun stuff.
Yeah,
learning about people.
Exactly, and figuring out if people are able to support themselves through working in whatever area they majored in.
Those crazy people that are trying to do arts for a living.
Yeah.
How stupid of them.
Right? I wonder that about once a month if I made an awful decision.
I think we all do.
Right. I feel like it happens more often than, like, talking to my friends who are in medical school, where they're just like, I'm all dandy and gung-ho, and I'm like, I don't know if I'm doing this right. I hate you as a person. Basically, I'm like, you have a life plan. I'm sitting here on the floor wondering if I made the biggest mistake of my life.
Good times. Well, if anyone's listening, thank you for listening, and tune in at some point, and we'll have another episode, in theory.
Yes.
Have a good night, or day, wherever you are.